Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and today we are going to be creating another really cute card using the Spooky Gnome set from Close to My Heart. So here is just a close-up of the card that we're going to be making. And again, I used the Distressed Oxide inks, and then for a little bit of added touch, I think it's coming on camera, I actually use the shimmer brushes to kind of oxidate that background to give this really fun kind of starry sky effect. So I've already done all of the coloring and the shimmer brush for the background just to kind of save some time. And in my other video that I uploaded prior to this one, I showed you how to use the Distressed Oxide inks. So I'm just going to kind of show you a close-up of what the background looks like. So for this particular background, I used chipped sapphire, which is right here. It's this nice dark sapphire color. Then I also used peacock feather, and what I did is this blue up here, I actually used the peacock feather first and then covered it with that chipped sapphire, and it kind of gives this really nice effect with the two different blues. Then I also used seedless preserves right here, and then last at the bottom I used black soot. So again, the video below actually shows you how to use these awesome products by Tim Holtz, but I wanted to just make sure I let you all know what colors I used. And then I wanted to let you all know that I learned a really cool tip about how to keep the pads on the back of the oxide inks. So right here on the back, I just used a little bit of Velcro that I got at the dollar store. You put the pad on there and then you will never lose or misplace your little pad. And then once these get broken or damaged or anything happens to them, you just throw this away and start over with a new one. But I thought that was just a really cool tip that I saw on Pinterest. So again, we're going to go ahead and get into the card. I use the Spooky Gnome stamp set. I know I said this about a million times, that this is my favorite stamp set out of the new Close to My Heart catalog. And I shouldn't say new, it's the September-October catalog, and unfortunately it expires at the end of this month. But this adorable little thin cut set and stamp set is still available, and I love this stamp set, so that's why I'm using it again. And I do believe I will have a third card with you, or for you, using this last little gnome, just because I love these gnomes so much that I had to use this stamp set. So what I'm going to do, I did cut this down about 1/4 of an inch on each side so you could get that nice white border. And I am just using the card bases that you can get directly from Close to My Heart. I believe you get 50 of them for about $15 US. So I think that's just a really good deal, especially since you get the card bases and the envelopes for that awesome price. Oh, and I forgot to say that awesome splatter effect. And I know I've shown that splatter effect quite a few times. I just did what I usually do. I took off the top and then kind of splattered the top to that card base. So again, like what I usually do, and I'm just kind of showing you guys in my splatter box just so I don't get stuff everywhere. But I take off the top of this shimmer brush and then I just kind of tap it on there. And then it gives that really fun splatter effect. So that's what I did. And then I made sure that it was good and dry before I do the next part, because in my prior video, you noticed that I learned that fun lesson of making sure the Distressed Oxide inks are dry before you go ahead and heat emboss or do any other stamping on top of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this bottom piece. So this is actually a piece of glitter paper, and you can see the kind of stitched effect on it because I used the rectangular stitched frames to get that. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that placed right there at the bottom. And for this, I decided to go with the black at the bottom and then kind of gradiating up into that really beautiful blue. You could easily flip it over and do the blue to the purple to the black, but this is just the direction or orientation I decided to go with. For the cute little gnome, now I did color him a little different. I kind of just did what I did last time and just colored him opposite. So with the card example, you can see that he has a purple hat and a green cloak, and with this one, he's got a purple cloak and a green hat. So I didn't do too much of any kind of fancy artwork with it. I'm still getting used to or learning how to actually use the Spectrum Noir markers. So I just went ahead and used kind of the basic technique. So I'm putting him on there flat, and then I wanted to raise the pumpkin and the cat. So I'm actually going to pick him up and move him over a little bit because he is not exactly where I need him to be. Get him a little bit over. Now the cat will kind of overlap him a little bit. And then I wanted the pumpkin right to the side. So with the pumpkin, I am actually using the thin 3D foam. And I'm using the larger size because he's a good size pumpkin. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 added to the back of the pumpkin. Right there. That way he's raised just a little bit. I'll put him right next to that fun little gnome. And then the cat, I decided to use the thick 3D foam tape, or 3D foam dots. And I'll just go ahead and get him added. And he is slightly overlapping that gnome just because he's the gnome's little friend and he's just standing right next to him. So there he is. And then this cute little moon, this actually comes in the Spooky Gnome thin cut as well, or stamp set and thin cut. And it actually does come with its own thin cut. It's a very tiny thin cut, but it comes with it, and it's just really good addition to this awesome spooky night scene that I'm creating. So go ahead and do that. Then I'm going to go ahead and get this stamped. So I decided to use the Trick or Treat stamp sets right here. Last time I used the Happy Halloween, and today I'm going to use the Trick or Treat. And then I'm going to actually emboss it with Ranger Superfine Detail Silver. I'm going to go ahead and get the Versamark inked up. Put it right over here. And I'll also be using this awesome tray that I got off of Amazon. It's a really neat tool. It'll catch all of your little bits. That way you can easily just pour it right back into your container. And it was under, I know it was under 10 bucks. It may have even been under $5. It's just a really cool tool to use for any of this embossing, or even glitter, or even sequins would work too if you have a big amount of sequins that you want to kind of clean up and not mess up your entire area. So then I'm going to go ahead and pop it with the heat tool. Trying not to get it right in the microphone so it's not too loud on here. I'm just going to go ahead and get this all nice and dried. And what I really love about the heat tool, it's just really fun to actually, you can see it right now, it's changing. It goes from that kind of dust look to this really nice, bright, melted, shiny effect. And I love that about the embossing powder. Especially the embossing powder from Ranger. It seems to be really high quality, and it just melts really quickly. And I've just never had any kind of problem with it whatsoever. So here is that cover base. And then I did put a couple of stars in the background. So originally I was going to use the stamp right down here that actually comes in the set. But I am not a fan of stamp surgery. It kind of freaks me out when people just cut their stamps. I don't know why. Maybe I'll try it in the future, but I did not want to cut them out and ruin them. So what I did is I went into my stash of all the beautiful sequins that Close to My Heart is either currently carrying or has carried in the past. And right here in this silver section, I found a bunch of iridescent stars. So I'm just going to go ahead and use mini glue dots right here, which I've already have them glued onto, and just glue them to the background of this card. And just get them kind of placed. I used 5 of them, going with the rule of odd decorations. Let's see here. One down here. I think I'll move this one a little over. But there is that starry background. And then the last touch that I did was actually use the clear shimmer brush and just kind of add a little bit to the border. And now that I'm thinking about it, ooh, did not mean to do that. Probably should be paying attention. That's kind of a fun effect though. It's got that fun little pink added to it. Now that I'm thinking about it though, I should add a little bit of yellow to the moon. I think that would be really fun as well. So I'm just going over here in my stash, getting out the yellow, and just adding a little bit of the yellow right to that moon, just kind of coloring him in. And I will go ahead and do that to the original as well, because I think that's just a really fun little added effect. And then the pink on the side. Let me see if I can actually get that off with some paper towel. And I can't. And that's okay, because, you know, this is crafting and this is card making. Any little mistake is kind of a fun little added addition to it. And I think whoever is going to be receiving these cards is definitely not going to notice or mind. So here are the 2 cards that I've just created using the Spooky Gnome stamp set along with Distress Oxide inks from Tim Holtz. Thank you as always for joining me on this crafty adventure, and I will see you guys all next time.